I think the goal is always to try and get a painting done rather than think about the potential of a painting. A bit like life when you hear these people going about, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, you're better off just putting your head down and doing it. The main thing I've kind of realised having that creative mind is that if you don't have something to occupy that, your mind wanders and you become a bit of a hypochondriac. So I'll start inventing scenarios where at one point I was thinking that I was about to have appendicitis just because I had a bad burrito. This is what I do all the time. If I'm not working to invent something out of nothing, that's where my mind goes, and like Catherine has to put up with it as well. You can see my paint trail here. I walk up to here. This is while Catherine's working on the computer, and I have to knock here, and I go, "Excuse me," and then sometimes you get wheeled down the other end as well. I'll just start niggling and prodding and having to do something stupid instead. So the best way for me to do it is to paint, because at least you've got something to show for the end of it.
So I'll work on 4 or 5 paintings at a time, which allows me to then put that one down, and I'll alternate between a style like that to then like the blue one behind you.
Yeah. Starting's probably the most exciting part of it. A bit like life though too, where you have these great big dreams of wanting to accomplish something, and then you realise, oh, hang on, there's a lot of work in between that dream and actually getting to the end. And usually once you actually hit those dream and goals, you set another one anyway. So I know it feels like we're overdoing it, but I think when you got 150 people out there, the more autopilot we can do, the better. Because I'm going to be shitting myself back here. yeah, it should be all right. Just do 50 and 50 again. Cool.
We're on the final run now, so we did, what are we up to? I think we've got 10 to go, so we've done 60. Cool. Oh, so this one's Catherine's idea. It's Gretel's from House of Harvey's idea. So the idea is this is going to be draped. We had to buy 30 linear metres of black velvet, and then silk gloved ladies' hands are going to appear with glasses of bubbles. So it's just a nice way to enter into the show, where you get a glass of bubbles and then start looking at art, because I think art and wine seem to go hand in hand. What seems to be the part of that holy grail. Art, what is the art, wine, and I don't know, maybe Netflix. I don't fucking know. Catherine and I spoke about it. We'd actually had a vague understanding of this idea probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So this is my 4th solo. But a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I was going to say, a bit of an upgrade. This venue's so cool.
Yeah, well, I think when it's all blacked out, so like that's going to be off to begin with, so no one knows there's a catwalk kind of happening, and then every little step led to the next. So it wasn't like a bolt of lightning or anything like that. I was literally sitting Christmas time watching documentaries about fashion houses, even though it's just the rag trade and they're selling another t-shirt with 2 holes in the sleeves, 1 hole for the neck, how they constructed their theatrics with, you know, manufactured beaches in warehouse, or a rocket ship in the background. The ability to create a certain amount of gravitas and be in charge of that manufacturing of that gravitas was quite important for me. So yeah, every single wall was pre-planned, but we then had to pre-plan it so you had equal weights on each side, and then the outer walls as well. That was all pre-done too, so when you load in the truck, you're then not double lifting, because by the time you do that, your knees are pretty cooked. Today we actually came in yesterday as well to unload all the moving walls, and then preloaded the truck last night. Sat in front of TV for about 10 minutes, went to bed, and then got up, and we've been going since 9 o'clock we got in here.
It's a French ultramarine mixed with a bit of black.
and then some white. It's a bit like planning a holiday. It's more exciting planning a holiday than actually sitting over there eating food and drinking all the time, just burning cash now. Yeah, the hotel isn't as comfortable as my house. The scenery is quite nice. I think the excitement that comes along with planning is more enjoyable than the execution. But like, yeah, that's like the middle stage of a painting. So you start out, great idea, you sketch up, you go, oh, this is going to be one of the better ones that I'm going to do, and then you actually start filling in the gaps, and you realise that your brain's not working with your hand, and then you have to reset another goal because maybe the part that was your favourite part of the painting, you might have to erase that because it's actually holding you back from filling in the gaps with the area which isn't working. So there's a lot of analogies with that, and I think life as you get older and older. Oh, it's okay when you stand back. Yeah, around the corner and down the road. Oh, cool. We'll start bringing them in. Hi, guys. Hey, how are you?
John, how you
Good
doing?
to see you, mate.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Thanks for coming back.
It's all good. Hasn't come back after the last event.
Oh, buddy, don't get too close. I'll fucking stink, hey? Like, it's been a long
One of
day.
the most fun events I've
Yeah.
done.
I'm John.
I'm Davison.
Nice to meet you, Johnson. And then the final run is, then we all go out all together, and then we start dropping them on the marks. Still was, the idea was trying to put this show together, because we'd found in the past every time we'd hosted a show that people didn't know where to go, what to do. They'd come in, they'd have their glass of bubbles, they'd have their nibbles, they'd walk around quite aimlessly. I drove them into so many walls at home trying to do the freaking things. If it's coming at you and getting wheeled past you, all you have to do is just be still. Don't have to do anything else. All you have to do is look up, take it in, like it, hate it, doesn't matter. Just as long as you're there to witness it. But it was actually more intent on having the audience still, and everything else moves around them.
You want to make this heavily affected from the get-go?
Yeah, I think I just want to improvise a bunch of lines and then we'll chop them up and see what happens.
Right. Well, let's get in the room.
Check out all this. Press a button.
I think it's interesting for me that, like, you know, music's a temporal thing, but art can be momentary. So it's sort of playing with two different dimensions, and there's something about the sound through time that gives us, I think, more of an opportunity to connect with people.
She's actually got a doctorate in music. Yeah. I don't know how, but yeah. Probably got a doctorate, doesn't she, Andy?
She's got a PhD in string arranging.
Have you got a doctorate too?
I do, yeah. I got a PhD in songwriting.
Two doctors in the house and one unemployed.
There's no time, Mum. Doctor of music. Oh, how proud they are.
It's a lot of work to get to that though, isn't it?
This is the surgery then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. 50 cc's of Britney Spears.
Wow, those effects are mad. The EP that I had, the first and last track, I think you quite like the textures of those. So I was wondering if that's sort of the right vibe. Maybe we start there with bookends and then sort of chop and augment and get from A to B using those things. If that's the right palette, that also gives me a jumping off point to be able to do 25 minutes quickly rather than starting from scratch.
Because me being a bit of an amateur, I just think it's easy to play 20 minutes, but it's not really, is it?
Well, it's probably fine, but your arms hurt after about 10. Improvising and chopping and sort of putting stuff together, which sounds a little bit like, or at least the way I've seen you paint before, like when we did that show in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And you did the live painting in front of me, like it was a lot of sort of just putting stuff together and see what happened.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really interesting overlap between the way we approach making art and sound, maybe.
Because it has a finish point, you then allow that distance between it to then romanticise it a bit more. Where when you've got something fixed and tactile, it takes a long time to then reminisce on what it looks like in your mind. Yeah, it's a strange kind of weird vortex of time. Why can't you have that same kind of emotional response to a painting that you have to, you know, a musical track or background music for a movie, or, you know, those little leitmotifs that you get through cinema photography? Like, why does it have to be this
hypercritical environment as opposed to just enjoying it. Yeah. That's then broken down into, I've got a great relationship with the guys that supply me, I've got a great relationship with the paint suppliers. Producing of it, that's my little thing. Allow myself to get out of the way of a painting. That's my little window of frustration, happiness, despair, joy. I now have a great relationship with the real estate agents and interior designers. That then gets me the opportunity to meet you. Time and tempo, the way things are edited as well, how that then translates into a different emotional effect. Okay, I'm John WREN and I paint.